going on, everybody? Welcome to a brand new edition of the Chris Stevens Writes YouTube show. I'm, of course, Chris Stevens, a writer who writes and discusses different topics on the channel, which include music, sports, society, even my own personal dating life, and different things of that nature. If you've been to this channel before, you've seen the videos. If you are a returning subscriber, I thank you for rejoining me. If you are new, welcome aboard. There will be guests and different things on this channel, of course, as we build it up. So feel free to subscribe and tap the notification bell so you can be notified of all the new content that drops on this channel. And don't be afraid to comment, like and comment. Like these are the things that help the algorithm, or the algorithm, as people on the internet like to joke. So yeah, if you want to help the algorithm out and get my videos be seen by a larger audience, so it can be, a more known channel as I continue to improve it, feel free to like and subscribe and comment on the videos. And I mostly comment back with people who will, be respectful, because I've had a couple of disrespectful comments in the past, especially when I was talking about Caitlin Clark and black folks in the media and all of that. Like, yeah, I mean, engagement is key, but don't come on this channel being foolish, because I'll just, return the foolishness in return, and just, it won't end well for you. So just be kind, be respectful. And I don't have to worry about that with a lot of people, because a lot of people that come on this channel, are real cool. They talk, they leave their comments, they say things that catch their, from the video, they catch their attention, and I reply. That's how that works. Okay, so the reason for this episode, as we get near the end of the NBA playoffs, we get closer to the NBA finals, we are closing in on the end of an unbelievable era. Not error. Well, it's an era that the era is ending. Let's put it like that. Okay. There's been word going around, been circulating by several reliable, credible sources in sports media that the NBA will be taking one part of its expanse television contract over to NBC. What part of that, you ask? The one that once belonged to Turner Network Television, otherwise known as TNT. Now, for those of you who are not familiar, the NBA has been on TNT for 35 years. I remember when TNT first became a channel way back in 1989. Yes, I'm that old. I was a spoiled kid who had a television and a cable box in his room, because my mom had sprung for cable after she discovered that I like watching wrestling pay-per-views. So, this was around, we got cable around, I want to say, shucks, I guess that would have been the spring of 88. Fall of 88, somewhere thereabouts. I know I was in second grade when I started flicking through the channels for different things and discovered, ESPN and, USA Network for Cartoon Express and all of that good stuff. And then there was this new network called TNT. Now, the NBA used to be on TBS from time to time, because TBS was not just a strictly Atlanta Braves, Atlanta Hawks station. That happened at the turn of the 90s. The Hawks became synonymous with the Braves being on TNT because Ted Turner owned all of that. So instead of just, forcing everyone to watch the NBA, instead of, having the NBA being, tethered to TBS, they went ahead and started Turner Network Television, which of course was TNT. Now, you couldn't just have basketball on TNT. Now, TNT used to have a lot of stuff. They used to play old movies like Imitation of Life, Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind was one of their most prominent commercials. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. And then they would have the old cartoons, like the old Looney Tunes stuff, before they started censoring a lot of cartoons, because a lot of stuff was racist and homophobic and all of that good stuff. The Pink Panther, some Tom and Jerry, cartoons like that. And then, of course, you'd have the NBA on TNT. And it's been like this for 35 years, that the NBA on TNT would be on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's been like that since the beginning. But the part that is going to hurt the most in losing the NBA on TNT is, of course, the Inside the NBA Studio Show, which, of course, is hosted by Ernie Johnson Jr. And more often than not, you have Hall of Famers Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley, and two-time NBA champion Kenny the Jet Smith. Now, you are not going to find another pregame show on any channel in any other sport with the chemistry, with the shenanigans, with the production value that Inside the NBA has. You're just not. Because you've got Charles, who's a reverend as all get out. You've got Shaq, who can be like a real hater when it comes to the big man, because he still feels like he's one of the biggest big men best big men to ever do it, but there's a little bit of insecurity in that. And then you've got Kenny Smith, who's like one of the straight men who just has to, who has a basketball mind. I mean, he played for Dean Smith in North Carolina. He was Michael Jordan's teammate for a year. He was teammates with Akeem Olajuwon when the Rockets won those 2 championships in the middle of the 90s. And then you have Ernie Johnson Jr., the veteran broadcaster who is born into this. His father, Ernie Johnson Sr., used to do Braves games way back in the day before any of us were even thought about. And you put those 4 guys together, and you got to remember, there's barely 15 years difference between the 4 of them. So they all have the same life experiences, the same shared philosophies on different things. Because I think Ernie, he's not 70 yet. I know he's not 70 yet. Chuck just turned 61. Kenny turns 59, I want to say, later on this summer, and Shaq just turned 52 a couple of months ago. So they're all in the same age range thereabout. Ernie's a boomer. Chuck is considered a boomer, even though you could probably make the case he's Gen X. Kenny and Shaq are absolutely Gen X. So, I mean, they're all about the same, age range. And you're just not going to buy the chemistry. Like, I'll never forget. I still feel bad for poor Rosalind Golden Wude to this day. Also, by the way, Roz, respectfully, one of the finest women on television, sports media. God have mercy. I remember when people on Twitter used to call her Risk, because people would risk it all for that woman. And it's still valid. It's still valid. But I remember when she was doing, she was on TNT. And I think this was this was after Chris Paul had left the Clippers finally. After, he had been rerouted from the Lakers to the Clippers thanks to the power of the almighty, rest in peace, David Stern. And they had a game, the Rockets had a game at Staples. I mean, it's not Staples now. Back then it was Staples. I think it's called Crypto now, but I refuse to give that name a lot of air. But anyway, Roz was reporting that Chris Paul had found one of those hidden tunnels from one locker room to the other, and apparently there was a scuttlebutt, and there had to be a police presence called in. Poor Roz. She's reporting this as a true professional. Roz, she played ball for Tara Vanderveer at Stanford. And she got into television because she's really damn good at it. And, she's trying to keep a straight face, and it looks like she wants to cry when Shaq and Charles start laughing about the police presence. And those 2 idiots. Oh, my God. Chuck, a police presence? Are you kidding me? And Shaq is like, Chris Paul on the line. Blake Griffin on the line talking about Chris Paul coming to BBO. Come help me. Oh my God! If you haven't seen the police presence thing of Inside the NBA, you can find it on YouTube. You can find it on Instagram. You can find it on I don't know if you can find it on Instagram. You definitely find it on Twitter. Yeah, just search for Inside NBA police presence and just prepare to laugh your ass off. Because those 2 dummies, and Kenny and Ernie are trying their damnedest to rein these fools back in, which is just like outdone that there had to be a police presence for a brief dust up between NBA basketball players. It's one of the most damnedest things you'll ever see on television. And then, of course, there's Chuck's beef with, no pun intended, with women from the great city of San Antonio, talking about how they double fish churros and different things of that nature. He recently just got in trouble for making fun of the beaches on Galveston, Texas, because the Pelicans just absolutely laid down in their first round series after Zion got hurt against Oklahoma City. And Chuck was talking about just how dirty and nasty the beach is. And the best thing about when Chuck gets rolling is Shaq sets him up perfectly. Can you say that again, Chuck? What they do, Chuck? It's just like Shaq just knows when to drop that, assist off, and Chuck is going to dunk it every time. And it's just like absolutely ridiculous. And Kenny's trying to keep a straight face. Ernie, the old white man in the crew, is trying to keep a straight face, and it's just so damn hard. Like, you can even hear the production people, the camera people, the producers in the background off screen laughing at these fools, man. But they still talk basketball in a way that makes sense to those of us who have watched the game for a long time, maybe those who haven't watched it in a long time. Because you've got Charles Barkley, a 16-year NBA veteran, multiple decades All-Star, 1993 NBA MVP, probably one of the best players to never win an NBA championship. You've got Shaquille O'Neal, 7'2", 340, most gifted, physically imposing big man of his generation. Only one that probably compares to him in terms of just sheer physical, holy shit, is Wilt Chamberlain. Shaq has MVPs, multiple rings. And, he's just he's a big kid. And then you've got Kenny Smith, played 10 seasons in the NBA, won 2 championships, first came into the league as a high flyer, reinvented himself as a heady point guard and a key three-point shooter. And, of course, Ernie Johnson, as I said, who is a lifer as a broadcaster. And they still all talk basketball in a way that is, palatable. You're not going to get that over on ESPN because, as much as I admire Stephen A. Smith and Mike Wilbon as journalists, they just don't have the personality to talk ball the way that Kenny, Shaq, Chuck, and Ernie do. And Malika Andrews is great at her job, but you can still tell there's tension from when her and Stephen A. got into it, and Stephen A. wrongfully, shouted her down about different, things in terms of misogyny and rape and all of that different stuff. And Kendrick Perkins is good, but he's still not Shaq and Chuck good. He tries to be funny, and sometimes it works. Other times it doesn't. So, and then, of course, that leads to the question of who is NBC going to have do a studio show? As a matter of fact, who is NBC going to have do play-by-play? Well, play-by-play, obviously Mike Tirico, I think, would be the favorite for that role because he was really good doing the NBA when he worked for ESPN and ABC all those years ago. Just last weekend, the infamous Baron Davis detonation on Andre Kirilenko resurfaced on the NBA history social media pages, and there was nothing better than Baron going baseline and dropping that thing on Kirilenko's head, and Mike Tirico just going, "Oh man!" I still remember that call clear as day, and it was fantastic because Hubie Brown. Not Hubie Brown is 90 years old. Hubie Brown is my birthday twin, if you can believe that. He'll be 91, Lord willing, if the creek don't rise on September 25th. And he's still the sharpest analyst in basketball today. He was sharp back then. He was making a point about a Utah Jazz player. See, this will help them out, not just with them scoring. Then Barron goes baseline and just bam, and then Tirico goes, "Oh, man." And Hubie just says, "Hello." That's all you needed to say. So I guess Tirico being the face of the NBA over on NBC won't be bad. Studio host, yeah, because Maria Taylor is already great at the NFL. Do you want to overtax her, especially now that she's a mom? Like Maria Taylor's motherhood story, it brings a tear to your eye. Like I always thought Maria Taylor was dope when she worked at ESPN anyway. And I was so happy that she got into a bag with NBC because she's going to be doing the Olympics, obviously. She led the Olympic coverage in 2021 and was damn good at it. She's going to be good at it again in Paris in 2024. So, just who do you have host that studio show? And who do you have to put around that person that's going to host the studio show? Because Ernie said he's not leaving TNT, which I understand out of loyalty to the Turner brand and the Johnson family, who've been intrinsically linked for 50, 60 years now. Kenny, he's unsure. Shaq and Chuck will go where the bag is. So it wouldn't surprise me if those two ended up over on NBC. But the problem is TNT is a cable station. TNT, you can get away with the foolishness that Shaq and Chuck get away with on cable. You can't get away with that on standard television. And NBC is still a standard network. Unless you put these dudes on Peacock. And then again, you're taking eyes off of it because Peacock is now raising their prices. The only reason I have Peacock is because I watch WWE Premium Live events. That's it. I don't watch anything else on Peacock. I probably watch the Olympics. And then, if I want to, watch an old episode of Dateline that I want to remember, then yeah. But then all of a sudden, there's different free apps on this Roku TV that I've fallen in love with. Shout out to Pluto and Tubi, where you can find, these old crime shows that you want to watch. Like, I made a point on the HBCU Sports Live yesterday that was intrinsically linked. Why do I keep saying intrinsically linked? I guess it's one of my favorite things now. That was connected rather to, the situation we were discussing with the Florida A&M donation scandal. And I was like, Florida A&M talking about you don't want to have school employees involved. And I said on 48 Hours, whenever they investigate somebody who's been murdered, the first person they turn to is the spouse or the person closest to that person. So yeah, I've been, catching up on my crime shows while I'm working from home. Very good thing to do. But yeah, And I think the biggest villain in all of this, it's not Adam Silver. It's not even NBC. Yes, NBC had a brief run with the NBA, but it was a fun run. I mean, it gave us Round Ball Rock by John Tesh, one of the greatest theme songs in television history. Not sports history, television history. Television history. Period. You know when you hear you know exactly what's going down. You know exactly what's happening. It's basketball time. Used to be on Saturdays, used to be on Sundays, and then when the playoffs started, you catch a playoff game. NBC said your regularly scheduled program will not be seen tonight due to NBA playoff coverage. Yeah. So I mean, I don't blame NBC. I don't blame Adam Silver because Adam Silver's job is to make money. And with this huge NBA contract coming up, it means that the NBA is coming back to Seattle and it'll probably go to Las Vegas as well. So, his job is to, bring in the money. And NBC is offering $2.8 billion for this NBA TV rights. TNT is not going to match that. Warner Discovery is not going to match that because David Zaslav is the horse's ass of, television network executives. That dude said 2 years ago, we don't need the NBA. And Adam Silver said, okay, you're going to fuck around and find out. And that's where we are today. It just hasn't been made official yet. But unless somebody, gets a hold of Zaslav and says, you can't afford to lose this and you need to probably offer about $3.5 billion, which won't happen. But if it does, that's probably the only way the NBA stays on TNT. And it's like when you have an executive, he's done so much. He's torn down, the movie realm. HBO Max, isn't what it used to be because they canceled all the good black shows that people would have wanted to watch, like rap shit and, different things of that nature. So the streaming game is nasty because there's no residuals in it. There's clearly none. And that's why it's going to be really interesting coming down to these next few years how our entertainment is going to change. Because a lot of people, that work in like Hollywood, like the script writers, the studio personnel, the producers, even down to the actors and actresses that do this thing. It's all changing because these greedy bastards that run the networks, that run the communication corporations have figured out a way to get, people to pay for, their services without kicking anything down to the people who actually make the services go. And it's some nasty work. And it really doesn't look like there's a solution for it, which stinks. Which is why, television contracts are probably, the most frustrating thing of all because somebody's going to make money and it's not going to be the people who need to make the money the most and who deserve it. Like Zaslav is one of the highest paid executives in the world. And he's about to lose the NBA on TNT, talking about the NBA, TNT doesn't need the NBA. Well, I can tell you what TNT is not gonna be carried by. Not gonna be carried by the NHL. And I say this as a hockey fan. Not everybody's just gonna. Because hockey is still a distant. Yeah, they're still fourth because the NFL is king, NBA is next. Major League Baseball has made a nice comeback and will probably continue to do so as long as they continue to invest in inner city communities and have more Black Latin athletes in the game. Because Ellie De La Cruz is one of those ones, and there are quite a few other young ethnic ball players that in Major League Baseball should and probably end up will promoting. And then of course you're still going to have your Bryce Harpers, your Mike Trouts, your Shohei Ohtanis. There's going to be so many of those guys that get that pub that are due to them. And so the NHL is a distant fourth. And they probably on a good weekend, probably put it behind golf. If Tiger was still rolling, you probably put it behind tennis. When Serena was cooking. Well, Coco Gauff is about to ascend to that level. And the WNBA, oh my God, the WNBA is starting to really make some inroads now. This draft class is going to change everything. So no, the NHL is not going to, bring TNT the dollars that the NBA would. And no, AEW isn't either because Tony Khan, I haven't watched AEW in so long, I couldn't tell you what the fuck's going on because it just got so convoluted after a while. Like Chris Jericho needs to hang it up. Chris Jericho was out there looking like somebody's divorced stepmother who swears that she is a queen of spades. Yes, I just used that term. And those of you who know what that term means are going to get mad at Chris. And you're going to be right because, we could have a whole conversation about fetishism and different things of that nature, but trying to stick to, PG-13 stuff. But yeah, if you've ever heard of, a woman that is of Caucasian descent with the acronym QOS. Yeah. So yeah, Chris Jericho looks like a divorced soccer mom who is promoting herself as a QOS, trying to talking about he's still one of the best wrestlers in the world. Bullshit! No, sir. Not buying it. Not a chance. So yeah, you've got the NHL and AEW. That's fine. I don't even know what TNT has for original programming anymore. Because the only time I turn on TNT is for the NBA and the NHL and AEW when I'm bored. Because WWE, I'm not one of those tribalists that just believes that, it's either one company or the other, but I'm just too invested in WWE right now because WWE is pushing all the right buttons. Triple H has done everything right. He's got new production crews. He's got wrestlers that wouldn't have gotten any shine under Vince McMahon, showing that they are capable. There's a woman, the women's evolution that his wife introduced is finally starting to pop. So yeah, I'm a WWE guy, but that doesn't mean, I can't say that AEW doesn't exist. It just doesn't appeal to me, but I'll try again. I'll probably try again this summer because, I ain't got nothing else going on, especially with college sports slowing down because that's my first job. But yeah, so I don't know what Zaslav is thinking, talking about TNT doesn't need the NBA. TNT desperately needs the NBA, and they're not going to have it anymore. And they're going to find out just how cold of a world it is when everyone else is tuning in to NBC, ABC, and ESPN, and the few people that can afford Amazon Prime, because there's going to be some Amazon Prime coverage, of course, for the NBA. So I don't know. Zaslav is the villain in all of this. And like I said, he is the asshole, the dirty taint of television execs because he's fumbled every imaginable bag. The sports bag, the comic book fan bag, the black person entertainment bag. He's fumbled it all. He's fumbled every single bit of it. And he's just going to keep making money hand over fist until he can't anymore. And that's going to leave Warner Discovery in a vulnerable place because I've seen people say that it wouldn't surprise them if Warner got, bought by either Disney or NBC or, Comcast Universal, whatever NBC's, parent is calling themselves these days. So if that's his MO, if that's his objective, then yeah, he's going to be damn successful at it. But if not, he's going to be remembered as one of the biggest jackasses to come down the pike to ruin entertainment for people for a long time. And he'll be comfortable in his home with his millions and billions of dollars, but guilt eventually eats away at people who do wrong most of the time. Like there are some people who are just unrepentant, absolutely. But that's not the general populace. There are people who have done wrong things and have had regret about those wrong things. This person right here, no different. But yeah, Zaslav, there are people who literally just are okay with being the villain, that are okay with being, not regretting their choices, whether they've affected other people or not. But, I think Zaslav, deep down inside knows that, he's really screwing up here and that it's going to come back to getting one of these days. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't know. But I just have to believe that there's got to be some consequences for just absolutely ruining an entire entertainment organization the way David Zaslav has ruined Warner Discovery. But yes, there will be after this year, the NBA on TNT is going away. And so much we're going to miss about it. I haven't even mentioned Kevin Harlan, who is the best play-by-play man in sports today. Where are we going to go for Kevin Harlan? He drops the sledgehammer. Where are we going to go for all of that? We're going to go with no regard for human life. It's a sad day. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because it just felt like, something that was really just on my spirit. And it's disappointing on so many levels. But, one day maybe we'll have that magic back, or maybe it won't go away completely. Maybe NBC will find a way to kind of absorb inside the NBA. But I don't know if that's possible. But yeah, rest in peace to the NBA on TNT, 1989 to 2024. It was a hell of a run. And that's going to do it for this edition of the Chris Stevens Writes YouTube show. Greatly appreciate y'all's time as always. All the contact information will be in the description below, as well as my donation links and my Cash App. Still trying to put this car money together. If you guys want to help me with that, you're more than welcome to do so. So thank y'all for watching. Until the next time we speak, y'all be good.